Welcome back to the Jörn YouTube channel. My name is Kai Reinke and I'm very happy to see you again. But before I'm going to start, I want to tell you that, of course, I'm not doing this stuff alone. I have people helping me. The main supporter is my colleague Michael Schiebel. Originally, he's our sales engineer, but however, due to the current situation, he can't go out and visit our customers. Therefore, he has changed his job tasks, and now he's a director of our videos channel and the cutter, and he's also responsible for just moving the very nice pictures into the movie here in the background later on. Okay, now I want to move on to the main topic of today, and that's the Slitbush. I want to talk to you about the Slitbush. What is it and where does it come from? Well, first of all, I want to move my computer out of the camera view. We don't need that. We need parts today. This is a Slitbush. The name comes from the slit. And this is a very creative, very engineering-driven name. But as I've mentioned in the last video, we are engineers. The slit is in the outer shell of the part and is also in the rubber component, in the rubber volume of the Slitbush, and it stops at the inner tube. The Slitbush I'm showing here is the smallest Slitbush we have in mass production, though, so that's as small as you can go. But it's in mass production and it's used in a centrifugal clutch to connect the auxiliary units, auxiliary equipment with the combustion engine and to take out any vibrations. That's the smallest part we do. The largest part we do is here, so that's a little bit heavy. I have to roll it into the picture. That's this one. This is the largest Slitbush we have in production. And this is used for a vehicle called piston bully, which is used in the Alps on the snow tracks for the skiing tracks, and it's adding the tension into the chain belt of the piston bully. It also has the slit, looks a little bit different, but that's due to the size of the part. Oops. Why? But I want to take for showing and explaining a little bit lighter one than this one and a little bit bigger than that one, in order to show you the features, the main features. Why do we use a Slitbush? What's the advantage of a Slitbush? Well, I have to explain you a little bit more about rubber material. Rubber is very good in bearing very, very high pressure stress. It's not good in have tension. It doesn't like tension at all. And it will fail very soon if you apply tension to the rubber. So that's number one you have to know. Number two is rubber is not compressible. It's a not compressible material. So if you apply pressure to the rubber, you will not change the volume. You will just move the volume to somewhere else. These are two very important properties of rubber you have to bear in mind. So, third one is when you do the rubber production, it's a molding process, an injection molding process. Normally it's very hot, and when the part comes out of the tool, it shrinks. The rubber wants to shrink. Well, if you have a solid outer tube, please imagine that this outer tube would be solid. It's very stiff and it will not change its shape. So due to the shrinking of the rubber material, some tension will be applied to the rubber material. And remember what I've said before, rubber don't like tension. So this is parts like this will not last very long. You can apply a process where you reduce the diameter of the outer shell, but to balance, to compensate this tension. That's possible, of course, but that's limited. If you take a Slitbush, you don't have to do that. Why? Because the outer shell is flexible. So the material of the outer metal will follow the shrinking of the rubber. Okay? It's very important to understand. So that means Slitbush coming out of the tool doesn't have any tension inside. Next thing is, when you apply a load, a radial load in that direction, of course, you have tension, you have pressure then in the upper part, and you have tension in the lower part. Well, you apply force here, and this is kept in the same position. And that's not good for the durability. So what you're going to do, you apply further pressure to the Slitbush by closing the gap, closing the slit in the assembly. And that applies very, very high pressure load everywhere in the rubber. And if the Slitbush is well designed, you have less movement in radial direction than you have pretension. So that means you will never have any tension in the rubber. You only have pressure, more or less. That makes a Slitbush lasting very long under oscillating load. And there's no other design principle which is able to achieve a similar durability as a Slitbush at the same size. So that's very important to know. That's why we have a Slitbush. It's an invention of the Jörn company, of course. That's what I want to mention. That's why this is the main product. So we have different kind of Slitbushes. We have so-called single-layered Slitbush. It's called single-layered because there's one layer of rubber. We also have so-called, like this part here, it's a double-layered Slitbush. It's called double-layered because we have two layers of rubber. So you see, we're very creative in finding the names of our products. It's consisting of an outer metal, an inner metal, which could be a pin or a tube or whatever, and an intermediate metal. Why is that? As I've said before, the rubber material is not compressible. So the bulge of this kind of Slitbush will be like this, rather big. In that case, you have two small bulges. So that means it's much more difficult, it's much harder to move, to apply a displacement to this outer shell of the bush. It's much stiffer, we call it. It's stiffer. Or in other words, it's able to bear higher loads. For some applications, you want a bush to be very stiff in that direction. Okay, but this could be also achieved with only one thin layer. So, but another nice property of rubber is that you can apply pretty high shear stress. And the shear stress you can apply, or the shear you can apply, depends only on the height of the rubber thickness. So with the intermediate layer of metal, you maintain the height of the rubber, but you increase the stiffness in that direction. So that gives you a bush which is pretty soft, twistable, but very rigid in that direction, gives you very good guiding properties. So what do you guess? Guess how much you can twist this bush only elastically. Make a guess. Okay, I bet you will not guess the right number. This bush, this specific bush, will be twisted in the field, in the series application by 70 degrees. 70 degrees, how much is that? That's about that. That much you can twist the bush by only sharing the rubber. It's pure elasticity, no friction, no wear. It's used as a cabin tilt mount for a truck cabin. Of course, you can't do that forever, but the number of load events you apply to these parts is about 4,000 to 5,000 in a lifetime of a truck, and that's all. And that's what this bush is able to bear. If you reduce the twisting angle by 50% or so, you can of course increase the number of load events significantly. And this kind of bush is used in many applications in a suspension system of a truck, for example. So these are already for examples of slit bushes. Could look like this. This is a single layered slit bush with a solid inner tube to apply a bolt. This one here is a very specific, a special kind of slit bush. This is a leaf spring eye mount. This is a specialty and another story which I'm going to tell next time, one of the next videos. Okay, well, I believe that's it for today about the slit bushes. I want to say thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, please come and visit our website www.jörn-GmbH.de or .com, or write us an email, contact us at the social media. Thank you very much for your attention. See you soon again. Bye bye.